Okay, I have no idea how to start this video. This is technically my first video on my channel, and it feels weird since this is a part 2 of a video I did a couple days ago. So yeah, the reason why I wanted a semi-long video is mainly because I wanted to talk about the figures on how I made them in more detail, give a little bit of background about it, and talk about the character a bit. And I also really wanted to add more dumb clips every time I segue to the next character. And that's pretty much it. Okay, to add more context, this is the second part of my LEGO Custom One Piece collection showcase. I showed the first part in my YouTube shorts showcasing the first 5 Straw Hats a few days ago. And this video is showcasing the rest of the crew. A bit of background when I posted this on my channel. Back in 2023, when I watched early One Piece, I promised myself that I'm only going to make the first 5 Straw Hats. But obviously, getting into the series more, my mind immediately changed and I impulsively broke my promise after that, which is very funny thinking about it now. One thing to note with these figures, all of these guys are all fully painted and sculpted by me. So enough yapping, let's get on with it. First up is Tony Chopper. So about my Chopper, because of his small body, I don't want to use a normal figure with just small legs. I really wanted to make him smaller than the rest of my figures. So I bought myself some knockoff baby figures so I could start with him, and the first thing I did after I got it was to sculpt his snout. And then the challenge for me was to make his big hat. I have a picture here of my first attempt to sculpt the hat, and it was horrible. It's too big, and the ears look so far apart from the head that right after I noticed it, I made a second hat that I liked so much better than the first. And not to mention, when painting Chopper, it was so tedious since he's obviously pretty small, and not to mention, I also sculpted his antlers. I was originally going to add his backpack, but I ultimately decided not to, but I might in the future. Right after I finished making him, it felt the figure is missing something, so I just had to add his mini rumble ball, which is really cute when you look at it. Apart from everything, he's a pretty simple figure, and I'm really proud of how he turned out. I love Chopper so much, when revisiting his backstory in the One Piece live action, it killed me the second time. Well, that's pretty much it for my Chopper. Next up is Nico Robin. God, her backstory killed me. The I Want to Live scene is one of my favorite moments in One Piece. No surprise there. Also, I know we can't see her face and I'm annoyed too, but I'll get into that in a bit. So about my Robin, I remember struggling what version of costume I would make her of, and I almost picked her Miss Sunday outfit. But as much as I love that costume, I have no idea how to make that version at the time and pull it off. And my second option was to make her Annie's lobby outfit, which thinking about it now, I should have done. Well, maybe in the future if I'm ever going to make her again then. If it's not obvious already, I picked a third option, which was her Jaya outfit. I personally really love that outfit. I love purple already, and I really love the hat and wanted to add that to my figure. My first attempt at the hat was, well, really bad. I used a thick type of paper and bent that thing and glued it to her head. I wouldn't really recommend it. So I bought a new hat piece for her and bought the Indiana Jones hat that was dual molded. And when I got that piece on hand, that's when I realized it was the wrong shape. So I did something stupid, which was cut the sides of the hat and put clay and bent to the sides to its proper shape. But here's the thing. What I didn't take into account was the lighting. When I was getting my camera ready, with my lamp as my lighting, this is where my problem now is. Well, you can't see her face clearly in the video. And I'm a bit bummed about that. Overall, the figure is pretty simple. I sculpted her hair. I already mentioned the hat. And A very simple figure. And that's pretty much it with my Robin figure. Really love the character, and I might make another version soon. Specifically her Annie Slobby outfit.
Mmm, good smell, flavor.
Next is Franky! I love Franky, man. But when he debuted, oh my god, I hated this dude. He not only stole the Straw Hats' money, but he also beat up my goat Usopp. F this guy. I remember talking to myself, how is this guy part of the Straw Hats? He's unlikable as hell, but man, when we know his backstory and he shows how sick he was in Annie's lobby, bro, bro became my instant favorite in the crew. God, I love Frankie so much. Okay, onto the figure. I actually had trouble with how I was going to make this guy. And thankfully, one day I had an idea of him making him wide. And I liked that idea. So basically, what I did was cut the size of a normal body, put that cut piece on another body, and glued it to make him wider, and sculpted his abs with clay. And I'm really proud of how it looks back then. And of course, I also sculpted his chin because why not? I'd say he looks better with it, and I'm actually quite proud of how his shirt looked like. Like the patterns, I'm really proud of that. Apart from all of the heavy sculpting, I wouldn't say he's a simple figure, but it was really troubling for me to make him back then. That's it with my Frankie. I hated the guy, and I ended up loving him until now.
私も大満足です。あ、ちょっと失礼。
Next up is Brook, the humming swordsman. Okay, look, I love Brook, but man, Thriller Bark was a pain to get through. I love moments like the nothing happens scene, obviously, but the things I mainly dislike in that arc are the villains. I don't need to explain more, but if you've seen it, you know. Okay, back to Brook. Since he's basically tall, I wanted to use the Toy Story Woody legs on him, since that was the perfect body for him, and originally I was only supposed to just paint his face, but when I did, he looked a bit plain and boring. So I kicked it up a notch by sculpting his head and a bit of his torso. And I'm really proud of how it looks. And speaking of sculpting, man, his afro was a pain to sculpt. I'm not really good at sculpting in general, and I really hate sculpting hair specifically. But of course, I want my Brook to look good, so I managed to do it. The first attempt was so crap, but anyways, he's pretty much a simple figure apart from the sculpting of the afro and such.
Jinbe! 少しだけじゃと言うたであろう
And finally, Jinbe. So about Jinbe, I was already spoiled that he's going to join the crew, and this is weird, but I already made this figure before I even saw him in the anime, which was kind of stupid. Now that I think about it, even though I know he ends up joining, I actually didn't know that he'd be introduced in the pre-time skip of the show. So that was a big surprise to me. And when I saw his silhouette in the opening of Impel Down, I was hyped. Okay, on to my Jinbei. When I first saw him, I remember thinking, how am I even going to make him? There's no Lego body that looks remotely similar to this guy. And I almost entirely dropped making him altogether. Until I looked up some knockoffs, and then I finally found the perfect base for him. A knockoff Lego Panda from JJK. So I basically ordered that and cut off the ears and face off the panda. I basically mutilated the poor guy. And then I heavily sculpted the figure. And if you're wondering, his kimono and sash are basically made out of paper. And finally, I cut up some 1x2 plates for his sandals to make him a bit taller with the rest of the crew. And that's it for my Jinbe. And that's it with my showcase. A very quick video, I hope. I'm really proud of all of these guys, and I'm sure I'll be showcasing the rest of my One Piece figures soon. I would say this will be a series. I don't know how many parts it will have since I'm still making One Piece figures to this day. And I guarantee this will not be an entirely Lego One Piece channel. I also make other things too, such as my favorite movies, games, and other kinds of things. I'll gladly share them with all of you. And be sure to follow my socials at TrashFigs on Instagram. I occasionally post there when I finish a figure. I just posted my York there recently too. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for sticking till the end. See you around.